Captain Marcus Chen stepped off his ship and onto the metal floor of Trade Station Nexus 7. The station was huge, bigger than any city he had ever seen on Earth. Lights flashed everywhere in colors that hurt his eyes. Strange smells filled the air, some sweet, some sharp, some that made his nose burn. He had been to many places in his 30 years of military service, but this was his first time meeting aliens. Real aliens, not just the stories other humans told. His government had chosen him for this job because he was calm under pressure. They needed someone who would not panic when meeting creatures from other worlds. Marcus wore his best uniform, the blue one with all his medals. The scars on his face and hands were clean and neat. He had gotten most of them during the war on Kepler 442b, where the air burned your skin and the ground exploded without warning. Some were from the mining accident on Europa, where the ice cracked and nearly killed everyone. A few were from the plague ship incident near Mars, where he had to go inside a vessel full of deadly gas to save the crew. He thought the scars made him look tough, but not scary, just experienced. The moment his boots touched the station floor, every alarm in the building started screaming. Red lights flashed. Sirens wailed. Strange voices spoke in languages he could not understand, but they all sounded very worried. Metal doors slammed shut with loud bangs. Armed robots flew down from the ceiling, their weapons pointed at him. Marcus stopped walking and put his hands up. "Hey, wait a minute," he said to no one in particular. "I'm here for the trade meeting." A tall, thin creature rushed toward him. It had blue skin and 4 arms, with eyes that glowed like yellow lamps. Behind it came several other aliens, all carrying what looked like weapons. They stopped about 20 feet away from him, as if he had some disease they might catch. The blue creature spoke into a small device on its wrist. Words came out in English, though the voice sounded like a computer. "I am Security Chief Vextal of the Xerion Guard. You will remain exactly where you stand. Do not move. Do not speak. Do not breathe heavily." "I'm Captain Marcus Chen of Earth," Marcus said, still holding his hands up. "I have papers. I'm supposed to meet with the Trade Council today." Vextal looked at a screen on his arm. His 4 eyes went wide with fear. "The scanners are broken," he said to one of the other aliens. "They must be broken. Look at these readings." More aliens came running. Some looked like giant insects with too many legs. Others were covered in fur and had claws instead of hands. A few looked almost human except for their green skin and the way their heads were too big for their bodies. They all carried scanning devices that beeped and flashed when they pointed them at Marcus. Every device seemed to go crazy when it looked at him. Numbers appeared on screens that made the aliens step back in fear. "What do your machines say?" Marcus asked. He was getting tired of holding his hands up. Vextal looked at his scanner again. His blue skin turned a darker color, which Marcus guessed meant he was scared. "The bioscanner says you should be dead. Not just dead, it says you should have been dead many times over. The threat assessment system has never seen readings like this." "What kind of readings?" Marcus asked. "The scanner marked you as impossible to kill," said another alien, this one covered in silver scales. "Every system on this station is telling us to run away from you as fast as we can." Marcus looked around at all the weapons pointed at him. "I don't want to hurt anyone. I just came here to talk about trade. You know, buying and selling things between our planets." A new voice spoke from speakers in the ceiling. It sounded calm and electronic. "This is the station's main computer. I have analyzed the human's biosignature 17 times. All results are the same. This creature should not be alive, and what does that mean?" Marcus asked. "Your body shows signs of surviving events that would kill every known species in the galaxy," the computer said. "Plasma burns that should have turned you to ash. Chemical damage that should have dissolved your organs. Radiation exposure that should have broken down your DNA. Pressure injuries that should have crushed your bones to powder." Marcus looked down at his hands and arms. The scars were visible even through his uniform sleeves. "Oh, you mean these old marks?" "Yeah, I've had some rough times." The aliens all moved further away from him. "Rough times?" Vextal repeated through his translator. "The readings suggest you have survived 17 separate extinction-level events." "Well, I wouldn't call them extinction-level," Marcus said. "I mean, here I am, right? Still breathing." A small gray alien with large black eyes came forward. It moved very carefully like it was approaching a dangerous animal. "May I ask how you got those scars?" Marcus shrugged. "Which ones?" "The burns on my arms are from when my ship caught fire over Kepler 442b. Had to crawl through a burning engine room to fix the cooling system. The marks on my face are from when we crashed on Titan, and I had to walk through that methane storm to get help. This one on my neck is from surgery after I got poisoned on that mining station near Jupiter." The gray alien's translator made choking sounds, as if it was having trouble converting Marcus's words into something that made sense. "You walked through a methane storm?" the alien asked. "On Titan?" "Had to," Marcus said. "My crew was hurt. Someone had to get help." "Methane storms on Titan dissolve organic matter in seconds," another alien said. "Our best protective suits last maybe 10 minutes in those conditions." "It wasn't that bad," Marcus said. "Stung a bit and my skin peeled for weeks after, but I made it." The station computer spoke again. "Calculating survival probability for described scenario. Result: 0% chance of survival for all known species." "But I'm right here," Marcus pointed out. "Yes," the computer said. "That is the problem." More alarms started going off. Emergency lights bathed the docking bay in red. Marcus could see alien ships outside the windows flying away from the station as fast as they could. "Are they leaving because of me?" Marcus asked. "Yes," Vextel said. "Standard protocol when encountering an unknown weapon of mass destruction." "I'm not a weapon," Marcus said. "I'm a diplomat. I brought cookies." He reached slowly toward a bag attached to his belt. Every alien in the room raised their weapons. "Don't move," Vextel shouted. "They're just cookies," Marcus said. "My wife made them." "Chocolate chip. I thought it would be nice to share." "Chocolate is deadly to most species," the computer informed him. "Oh," Marcus said. "I didn't know that, sorry." A new alien appeared, floating a few inches off the ground. This one looked like it was made of crystal, and light passed through its body in strange patterns. "I'm Observer Hathrin of the Crystalline Collective. We have been monitoring your species for several of your years." "You have?" Marcus asked. "Why didn't you introduce yourselves?" "We believed you were a primitive species that would destroy itself within a few generations," Hathrin said. "Your planet is classified as a death world. Nothing intelligent should be able to evolve there, much less thrive." "Earth's not that bad," Marcus said. "Sure, we have some problems, but we work them out. Your planet has ice ages that freeze entire continents, volcanoes that block out the sun for years, earthquakes that split the ground open, hurricanes with winds that can tear apart buildings, diseases that kill millions, radiation from space that damages genetic material." "Well, when you put it like that, it sounds pretty rough," Marcus admitted. "But you learn to deal with it." "How?" asked the gray alien. "How does anything survive on such a world?" Marcus thought about it. "I guess you just keep going. When bad things happen, you fix what you can and keep moving forward. If you get hurt, you heal up and try to be more careful next time. If something tries to kill you, you figure out how to kill it back." The aliens all looked at each other. Their translators made worried beeping sounds. "You fight back against extinction events?" Vextel asked. "What else would you do?" Marcus replied. The station computer made a sound like it was thinking very hard. "Recalculating threat assessment. This human does not appear to be a weapon. However, his survival capabilities exceed all known limits. Recommendation: establish communication protocols while maintaining safe distance." "How far is a safe distance?" asked one of the insect-like aliens. "Calculating," the computer said. "Error. Cannot calculate safe distance from something that cannot be killed." Marcus sighed. "Look, I know this is all very exciting, but I really do have a meeting to get to. The Earth government sent me here to talk about setting up trade routes. We have things you might want, and you probably have things we need." "What could your species possibly offer us?" asked Hathrin. "You have described your technology as primitive." "Maybe primitive compared to yours," Marcus said. "But we're good at fixing things. We can work in places that might be too dangerous for your people. We're pretty tough, as you've noticed." "Tough," Vextel repeated like he was testing the word. "Is that what you call surviving 17 extinction events?" "I call it Tuesday," Marcus said. "Some days are worse than others." The aliens spent several minutes talking to each other in their own languages. Marcus couldn't understand any of it, but he could tell they were arguing about something. Finally, Vextel spoke up. "The Trade Council has agreed to meet with you," he said. "But there will be conditions. You will be scanned continuously. You will be accompanied by guards at all times. You will not be allowed near any critical systems." "That's fine," Marcus said. "Can I put my hands down now? My shoulders are getting sore." The weapon stayed pointed at him, but Vextal nodded. Marcus lowered his arms and rolled his shoulders to work out the stiffness. One more thing, Vextal said. The Council wants to know, are there more like you? More humans? Marcus asked. Sure. About 8 billion of us last time I checked. Every alien in the room went completely silent. Even the station computer stopped making noise. 8 billion, Hathrin repeated slowly. 8 billion creatures like you. Well, not exactly like me, Marcus said. I'm probably a bit more banged up than most. I've had an interesting career. If you are considered damaged by your species standards, the computer said, then we need to completely revise our understanding of biological limits. I wouldn't say damaged, Marcus protested. Just experienced. As the aliens led him deeper into the station, Marcus noticed that every creature they passed stopped what it was doing to stare at him. Some pointed scanning devices in his direction. Others moved to the far side of the corridor. A few made sounds that his translator couldn't convert into words. They're all scared of me, Marcus observed. Yes, Vextal said. Wouldn't you be scared of something that could not be killed? Marcus thought about it. I guess I would be. But I can be killed. Everyone can be killed. It's just that most of the things that have tried to kill me weren't trying hard enough. The blue alien's yellow eyes flickered. What would it take to try hard enough? I don't know, Marcus said honestly. I hope we never have to find out. They walked through the station in a bubble of fear and amazement. Marcus looked around at all the wonders surrounding him. Technology that could probably solve every problem on Earth. Art from worlds he had never imagined. Creatures that evolution had shaped in ways that seemed impossible. This place is amazing, he said. I can't wait to tell everyone back home about it. Home, Vextal said. This death world you call Earth. Tell me, what is it like to live on a planet that is constantly trying to kill you? Marcus smiled, and several nearby aliens stepped back when they saw his teeth. It keeps life interesting. You never know what tomorrow might bring, so you learn to appreciate what you have today. And that is how your species became impossible to kill. Maybe, Marcus said. Or maybe we just got lucky. Either way, we're here now and we'd like to be friends. The word friend seemed to cause some confusion among the aliens. Their translators made uncertain sounds as they tried to figure out what it meant in their own languages. Marcus hoped this was the beginning of something good for both sides. He had no idea that his arrival had already sent shockwaves across the entire galaxy, or that military fleets were being mobilized and emergency councils called. He just wanted to complete his mission and maybe learn something new about the universe. After all, that's what humans did. They kept moving forward no matter what tried to stop them. Dr. Kethara floated through the medical bay doors, her 6 tentacles moving in perfect coordination. As the chief xenobiologist of Trade Station Nexus 7, she had examined thousands of species from across the galaxy. Her people, the Mindari, were known throughout the civilized worlds for their scientific minds and careful research methods. But nothing in her 300 years of study had prepared her for this. Computer, show me the human's bioscan results again, she said as she approached her workstation. The holographic display filled the air above her desk with numbers and images that made no sense. Every reading contradicted everything she knew about biological life. She had run the scans 12 times thinking her equipment was broken. Each time the results were the same. The readings are accurate, Dr. Kethara, the computer said. I have checked all systems multiple times. Then this human should not exist, she muttered, studying the data with growing amazement. Captain Marcus Chen sat in the medical examination room, looking around with curious eyes. The walls were covered with strange instruments that beeped and flashed. A robotic arm extended from the ceiling, holding a scanning device that hummed as it moved around his body. Is this going to take much longer? Marcus asked. I don't want to be late for my meeting. Through the transparent barrier that separated them, Dr. Kethara watched him carefully. Please remain still, Captain Chen. We are still trying to understand your physiology. My what? How your body works, she explained. Your species is very unusual, Marcus shrugged. We get by. The scanning device completed another pass and new data appeared on Dr. Kethara's screens. She made a sound that her translator converted into a gasp of shock. Computer, analyze the skeletal structure again. Focus on areas of previous trauma. The hologram changed, showing Marcus's skeleton in glowing blue lines. Red markers appeared wherever the computer detected old injuries. There were so many red markers that parts of his skeleton looked more red than blue. 17 major fractures, the computer reported. 14 instances of bone regeneration. 3 artificial joints. Calcium deposits indicating repeated stress fractures. Evidence of surgical intervention in multiple locations. Dr. Kethara counted the injuries on her tentacles. Captain Chen, have you ever broken a bone? Which ones? Marcus asked with a laugh. I broke my arm 3 times as a kid, just from falling out of trees and playing sports. Cracked a few ribs in the military when a building fell on me. Shattered my leg pretty bad during the Titan incident I mentioned earlier. You speak of these injuries very casually, she observed. They healed up fine, Marcus said. Took some time and physical therapy, but bones grow back stronger where they break. At least that's what the doctors always told me. Dr. Kethara's tentacles trembled. Bones grow back stronger? That is impossible. Bone regeneration weakens the overall structure. Not for humans, Marcus said. Maybe we're different. The doctor switched her display to show his internal organs. What she saw made her float backward in alarm. Computer, is this correct? Show me the toxicology analysis. More data filled the air. Chemical signatures that should have been impossible in a living creature appeared in bright yellow highlights throughout Marcus's body. Captain Chen, she said carefully, have you ever been exposed to toxic substances? Define toxic, Marcus said. Substances that would damage or destroy living tissue. Marcus thought for a moment. Well, there was that time I got caught in a chemical leak on the mining station. Had to breathe some pretty nasty stuff for about an hour before the rescue team could get to me. And during the war, we got hit with some kind of gas weapon that was supposed to melt your lungs. Oh, and there was that planet where the water was full of acid that burned your throat. Dr. Kethara's translator made choking sounds as it tried to process this information. These chemicals, they are still in your system. Really? Marcus looked interested. Is that bad? For any other species, yes. These toxins would cause immediate organ failure and death. But in your body, they appear to be contained, isolated. Your immune system has somehow learned to work around them. The human body is pretty amazing, Marcus said proudly. It can adapt to almost anything if you give it time. Adapt, she repeated. Your people use that word often. It's what we do best, Marcus said. When something tries to kill us, we figure out how to live with it instead. Dr. Kethara pulled up another set of scans, these focusing on his brain. Captain Chen, have you ever suffered head injuries? A few, Marcus admitted. Got knocked unconscious pretty regularly in my younger days. Had a concussion from that building collapse I mentioned. Took some shrapnel to the head during a space battle that put me in a coma for 3 weeks. A coma for 3 weeks, she said faintly. And you recovered completely? Mostly, Marcus said. Sometimes I forget where I put my keys, but that might just be age. The brain scans showed damage that should have left him unable to speak, think, or move. Instead, new neural pathways had grown around the damaged areas, creating connections that shouldn't exist in any known species. Your brain has rewired itself, she said in amazement, multiple times. It has created new pathways to replace damaged ones. Brains are smart like that, Marcus said. They find ways to work around problems. A chime sounded and Security Chief Vextal entered the medical bay. His forearms moved nervously as he approached the barrier. Doctor, what is your analysis? He asked. Dr. Kethara looked at her data, then at Marcus, then back at her data. This being should have died at least 47 times based on the evidence I can see. Each individual injury or exposure would be fatal to any species in our database. But he's sitting right there, Vextal pointed out. Yes, she said. That is the problem. Marcus waved at them through the barrier. Hey, can you hear me? I'm still waiting for that meeting. Vextal's yellow eyes dimmed. Doctor, I need to know, is he dangerous? I don't know, she admitted. By all known biological laws, he should not exist. His survival capabilities appear to be unlimited. What does that mean for the rest of us? Dr. Kethara studied Marcus again. He was humming quietly to himself and examining his fingernails. He seems peaceful, but if his entire species shares these capabilities, the implications are disturbing, Vextal finished. Computer, Dr. Kethara said, based on the human's demonstrated survival abilities, calculate the threat level his species represents to galactic civilization. The computer was quiet for a long moment. Calculating. Error. Cannot calculate meaningful threat assessment. If this individual's capabilities are representative of his species, then standard military analysis does not apply. Explain, Vextal demanded. Traditional warfare relies on the ability to inflict casualties on enemy forces. If the enemy cannot be killed by conventional means, then conventional military doctrine becomes useless. Dr. Kethara felt cold despite the warm air in the medical bay. Computer, what would it take to kill this human? Unknown. All known lethal factors have already been survived by the subject. Recommendation: avoid finding out. Through the barrier, Marcus had started doing simple exercises to stay limber. He was doing push-ups on the floor of the examination room, counting quietly to himself. How many of those can he do? Vextal asked. I don't know, Dr. Kethara said. Should we find out? No, Vextal said quickly. We should not. Marcus finished his push-ups and stood up, rolling his shoulders. Are we almost done? I'm starting to get hungry. What do humans eat? Dr. Kethara asked the computer. Scanning nutritional requirements, the computer replied. Warning: humans appear to be omnivorous to an extreme degree. They consume substances that are toxic to most life forms, such as ethyl alcohol, which is a poison to most species, capsaicin, which is designed by plants as a defense mechanism, caffeine, which is a natural pesticide, various fermented materials that contain beneficial bacteria. They eat poison and bacteria? Vextal asked in horror. For pleasure, according to my cultural database, the computer added. Marcus knocked on the barrier. Excuse me, do you have any coffee? I usually have a cup around this time of day. Coffee, Dr. Kethara repeated. The liquid poison. It's not poison, Marcus said. It just helps me wake up. Makes me more alert. It's a pesticide, she informed him. Really? Marcus looked interested. That explains why it works so well. Can I still have some? Dr. Kethara and Vextal exchanged worried looks. Computer, what would happen if we gave the human coffee? Based on analysis of his metabolism, the caffeine would be processed normally and provide the stimulant effect he expects. No harmful consequences are predicted. So giving him poison would make him feel better, Vextal said. That's what I keep trying to tell you, Marcus said. I know it sounds weird, but trust me. A new voice joined the conversation as Observer Hathran materialized near the medical displays. The crystalline being studied the data with light patterns that shifted through his transparent body. Dr. Kethara, Hathran said, I have reviewed your findings. I must ask, are you certain this creature is truly alive? What do you mean? She asked. Perhaps what we are seeing is some form of artificial construct, a machine designed to appear biological. Dr. Kethara pulled up detailed cellular scans. No, he is definitely biological. These are real organic tissues, not synthetic materials. But they behave in ways that violate everything we know about biology. Marcus had overheard the conversation. You think I'm a robot? He called out. That's a new one. Here, watch this. He pinched himself on the arm and winced. Ow. Robots don't feel pain, right? Pain, Dr. Kethara said thoughtfully. Computer, analyze the human's pain response. The subject's nervous system registers pain normally, but his reaction to it is highly unusual. Pain signals that would incapacitate most species cause only minor behavioral changes. What does that mean? Vextal asked. It means he feels everything that would hurt us, but he just keeps going anyway. Marcus had started doing jumping jacks. Exercise helps when you're stuck in one place too long, he explained. He's treating this medical examination like a minor inconvenience, Dr. Kethara observed. Most species would be terrified by now. Terrified of what? Marcus asked. You all seem nice enough. A little nervous, maybe, but friendly. We are studying you like a dangerous specimen, Vextal pointed out. Well, that makes sense, Marcus said. You've never met a human before. It's natural to be curious. I'm curious about all of you, too. Dr. Kethara realized something. Computer, scan for signs of fear or stress in the human. Stress indicators are minimal, the computer reported. Heart rate and brain activity suggest he is relaxed and alert, but not concerned about his situation. Even though he's surrounded by armed aliens in an unknown location far from his home planet, Hathran observed. Maybe that's how they became so hard to kill, Dr. Kethara said slowly. They don't waste energy on fear. Marcus had moved on to stretching exercises. I learned a long time ago that worrying about things you can't control just makes you tired. Better to stay calm and see what happens. What if what happens is death? Vextal asked. Marcus paused in his stretching. Then I guess you deal with that when it comes. But it hasn't come yet, so why worry about it? The three aliens stared at him in silence. Finally, Dr. Cathara spoke. Computer, add a note to the file. Humans may have evolved a psychological immunity to existential dread. Existential what? Marcus asked. Fear of death, she explained. Oh, we're afraid of dying, Marcus said. We just don't let it stop us from living. How? Hathrin asked. How do you function knowing that death is always possible? Marcus thought about it while he stretched his other leg. I guess because if you spend all your time afraid of dying, you never really get to live. And what's the point of being alive if you're not really living? Dr. Kethera added another note to her file. Humans appear to have resolved the fundamental philosophical paradox of mortality through pure pragmatism. Can we wrap this up soon? Marcus asked. I really am getting hungry, and I'd like to get this trade meeting started. My government is excited about the possibilities here. What possibilities? Vextal asked nervously. Trade, cooperation, friendship, Marcus said. Learning from each other, solving problems together, the usual stuff. What kind of problems could we possibly have that your species could help solve? Dr. Kethera asked. Marcus grinned, and all three aliens stepped back from the barrier. Well, from what I've seen so far, you folks seem to have a problem with dangerous environments. Places that are too hot, too cold, too toxic, too radioactive, that kind of thing. We might be able to help with that. Help how? Hathrin asked. By going there and fixing whatever needs fixing, Marcus said simply. That's what humans do. We go places other people can't go and do jobs other people can't do. The three aliens looked at each other with growing understanding and terror. Computer, Dr. Kethara said quietly. Send a priority message to the Galactic Council. Subject, immediate reassessment of human capabilities required. Message sent. The computer confirmed. Marcus had finished his exercises and was sitting patiently on the examination table. So are we good to go? I'm really looking forward to that meeting. The emergency council chamber aboard the Galactic Command Station Omega buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from dozens of species had gathered in response to Dr. Kethara's priority message. The chamber was designed to accommodate beings of all sizes and atmospheric requirements, with sections filled with different gases and gravity fields adjusted for comfort. None of them were comfortable now. Ambassador Zarthek of the Hegemony stood at the center podium, his reptilian features grim as he addressed the assembled delegates. His people were known as master strategists, having conquered half the galaxy through careful planning and overwhelming force. But the data he was reviewing challenged everything the Hegemony understood about warfare. Fellow representatives, Zarthek began, his voice carrying through the chamber's translation systems. We face a situation unlike any in recorded galactic history. 3 standard hours ago, a single human made contact with Trade Station Nexus 7. The implications of this contact require immediate council action. Ambassador Veltar of the Peaceful Union raised one of her many slender arms. Her species had avoided conflict for centuries by being excellent at running away from dangerous situations. Surely one being cannot pose a threat to galactic civilization. Even if this human possesses unusual abilities, there is only one of him. That is incorrect, Zarthek replied, pulling up a holographic display of Earth. Intelligence reports indicate there are approximately 8 billion humans on their home planet, with colonies on several other worlds in their system. The chamber erupted in sounds of alarm from dozens of different species. The insectoid delegate from the Hive Collective made rapid clicking noises that translated as impossible swarm size. A gaseous being from the ethereal communion dimmed its glow in what appeared to be shock. 8 billion, repeated General Krexmore of the Saurian Empire. His massive frame dominated the military section of the chamber. Are you certain of this number? Confirmed by multiple sources, Zarthek said. But the number is less important than their capabilities. Computer, display the medical analysis from Nexus 7. The hologram changed to show Marcus Chen's bioscan results. Even translated into simplified visual formats, the data was staggering. Red warning indicators covered most of the human outline. Dr. Fendara of the Academic Collective studied the display with her 6 eyes. Her species had the most advanced medical knowledge in the galaxy, having cured diseases that had plagued other civilizations for millennia. These readings suggest survivability beyond all known biological limits. How is this possible? We don't know, Zarthek admitted. What we do know is that this single human has survived events that would exterminate entire populations of any other species. He highlighted specific sections of the data. Plasma exposure that vaporized the testing equipment, chemical burns from substances that dissolve our strongest alloys, radiation levels that sterilize planets, pressure differentials that crush starship hulls. And he considers these events minor inconveniences, added observer Hathrin, who had joined the session via quantum link from Nexus 7. The human shows no signs of trauma or concern regarding any of these experiences. Grand Admiral Thorkval of the United Defense Fleet leaned forward in his chair. Threat assessment, observer. Could this species conquer the galaxy if they chose to? Unknown, Hathrin replied. Traditional military calculations assume that enemy forces can be killed. If that assumption is false, then conventional warfare becomes meaningless, General Crexmore finished. If you cannot kill your enemy, you cannot win. Ambassador Silthara of the Trade Federation had been quietly studying economic projections. The military implications are concerning, but consider the economic impact. If humans can survive in environments lethal to other species, they could monopolize resource extraction from dangerous worlds. Dangerous worlds like the plasma seas of Sigma Draconis, Dr. Fendara said thoughtfully, or the acid rain planets in the Vega system. We've written off hundreds of worlds as uninhabitable. Uninhabitable to us, Veltar corrected. Apparently not to humans. Zarthek called for order as worried conversations broke out across the chamber. Fellow delegates, we must decide how to respond to this situation. I have identified 3 primary options. The display changed to show strategic projections. Option 1, military preemption. We could attempt to eliminate the human threat before it becomes unmanageable. With what? General Crexmore asked. If they cannot be killed by conventional means, how would we fight them? Planetary bombardment, suggested Admiral Thorkval. Destroy their worlds from orbit. That would make us the aggressors, Veltar protested. The humans have shown no hostile intent. Their representative came to us seeking trade, not conquest. For now, Zarthek said. Option 2, isolation. We could quarantine the human system, prevent them from spreading to the rest of the galaxy. Quarantine 8 billion beings with unlimited survival capabilities. Dr. Fendara shook her head. Even if we could build barriers they couldn't break through, they would eventually find ways around them. Which brings us to option 3, Zarthek continued. Alliance. We could attempt to form peaceful relationships with humanity. Alliance with beings we cannot kill who could potentially kill all of us. General Crexmore's scales darkened with anger. That's not alliance, that's surrender. Ambassador Yathara of the Ancient Dominion had been silent throughout the discussion. Her species was among the oldest in the galaxy, having observed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. When she finally spoke, her aged voice carried the weight of millennia. I have seen this before, she said quietly. The chamber fell silent, all attention focused on the ancient being. Not humans specifically, she continued, but species with similar attributes. It was long ago, before most of your civilizations achieved spaceflight. What happened to them? Zarthek asked. They became protectors, Yathara said, guardians of weaker species. They took the dangerous jobs, explored the deadly places, stood between civilization and chaos. Eventually they passed into legend. What became of them? Dr. Fendara asked. They are still here, Yathara said cryptically. Watching, waiting. They choose not to reveal themselves unless the need is great. Are you suggesting the humans could become similar guardians? Feltar asked hopefully. Or similar watchers, General Crexmore said darkly. Hidden powers that manipulate events from the shadows. A new voice interrupted the debate. Priority transmission from Trade Station Nexus 7, announced the chamber's communication system. Dr. Kethara's image appeared above the central platform. Council members, I have urgent information regarding the human situation. Report, Doctor, Zarthek ordered. The human has made a formal request, she said. He wishes to demonstrate his species' capabilities to help establish trust between our civilizations. Demonstrate how? Admiral Thorkval asked suspiciously. He has volunteered to attempt a rescue mission to the abandoned research station on Xerion 4. The chamber erupted again. Xerion 4 was legendary among the galactic community as the most dangerous failed colony in recorded history. The planet's toxic atmosphere could kill most species in minutes. Its surface was covered with radioactive storms that raged for decades at a time. The research station had been abandoned 50 years ago, when the environmental conditions became too extreme even for robotic equipment. "That's suicide," Dr. Fendara said. No living being could survive on Xerion 4 for more than a few minutes. The human seems confident he can reach the station and recover the research data that was left behind. Dr. Cathara continued. He says it would be a good way to show that humans are helpful, not threatening. Research data, Ambassador Silthara said thoughtfully. That station was working on medical breakthroughs that could save millions of lives. The data has been considered lost forever. If he dies attempting this mission, it would solve our problem, General Crexmore pointed out. And if he succeeds, it would create an even bigger one, Admiral Thorkeval countered. It would prove that humans can go anywhere and do anything. Observer Hathran's crystalline form flickered with urgent light patterns. Council members, there is something else. The human has indicated that if this mission succeeds, his government would be interested in establishing a formal rescue and recovery service for the galactic community. A what? Zarthek asked. Humans would take on missions to dangerous locations that other species cannot survive. Recovery of lost personnel, retrieval of valuable resources, exploration of hostile environments. They would do this as a service to promote peace and cooperation. They want to become the galaxy's professional risk-takers, Veltar said in amazement. Think of the implications, Dr. Fendara said. Every dangerous experiment, every toxic world, every impossible rescue mission. We could send humans instead of sacrificing our own people. Or they could use access to those dangerous places to build secret bases and plan attacks, General Crexmore warned. Ambassador Yathara spoke again. The choice is not whether to trust them. The choice is whether to trust them now, while they are offering cooperation, or wait until they no longer need our approval. What do you mean? Zarthek asked. They have 8 billion individuals with unlimited survival capabilities, she explained. Eventually, they will expand beyond their system whether we permit it or not. Our options are to welcome them as allies or face them as unknowns. She's right, Dr. Fendara said. If they can survive anything, they can eventually go anywhere. Better to have them as partners than as strangers. What if this is all a deception? Admiral Thorkeval asked. What if they're not as tough as they appear? What if this is some elaborate trick? Then the Xerion 4 mission will expose the deception, Zarthek said. No one can fake survival in that environment. And if it's not a deception? Veltar asked. Then we learn what it means to live in a galaxy where death is not the ultimate limitation. The debate continued for hours, but eventually, a decision was reached. The humans would be allowed to attempt the Xerion 4 mission under carefully monitored conditions. If they succeeded, formal negotiations for galactic citizenship would begin. If they failed, the question of human capabilities would be permanently answered. As the council session ended, delegates departed to inform their respective governments. Some returned to prepare for possible war. Others began drafting alliance proposals. A few started making plans to relocate to safer parts of the galaxy. On Trade Station Nexus 7, Captain Marcus Chen finished his second cup of coffee and reviewed the mission briefings for Xerion 4. The planet looked challenging, but nothing worse than some places he'd been during his military service. Looks like fun, he said to Dr. Kithara, who was still trying to understand how a toxic death world could be described as fun. She was beginning to realize that understanding humans might take longer than anyone had expected. Much longer, but for the first time since Marcus's arrival, she was starting to think that might not be a bad thing. If humans really could do impossible things, maybe the galaxy needed impossible people. She just hoped everyone would survive finding out. The observation deck of Trade Station Nexus 7 had never hosted so many important visitors at once. Representatives from every major galactic civilization crowded around the massive viewing screens, watching feeds from dozens of monitoring satellites positioned around Xerion 4. Captain Marcus Chen stood in the center of the launch bay, checking his equipment one final time. He wore a standard human environmental suit, modified with additional communication gear so the aliens could monitor his progress. The suit looked primitive compared to the advanced technology surrounding him, but Marcus seemed comfortable with it. Final equipment check complete, he reported into his helmet microphone. All systems green. Dr. Kethera floated near the observation window, her tentacles twisted with nervous energy. In the 3 days since the Galactic Council had approved this mission, she had run thousands of simulations. Every single one showed the same result: complete mission failure within minutes of planetary contact. "Captain Chen," she said through the communication system, "I must remind you that the atmospheric conditions on Xerion 4 are beyond lethal. The air itself is a cocktail of acids that will dissolve most materials. The radiation levels exceed anything you've previously experienced." "I understand," Marcus replied, sealing his helmet. "Don't worry, Doc, I've been in worse places." "No," Dr. Kethara said firmly, "you have not. Our instruments show that Xerion 4 makes your home planet look like a peaceful garden world." Marcus chuckled. "You haven't seen Earth during hurricane season." Security Chief Vextal checked his monitoring equipment nervously. His 4 hands moved across multiple control panels, coordinating with the observation satellites. "All sensors online. We will track your every movement, Captain." "Good to know someone's watching out for me," Marcus said. He walked toward the small shuttle that would carry him to Xerion 4's surface. The shuttle itself was a marvel of alien engineering, designed to survive the planet's hostile environment just long enough to deliver its passenger. Ambassador Zartek's voice came through the speakers from the Galactic Command Station. "Captain Chen, you are aware that this mission is entirely voluntary? No one would blame you for reconsidering." "Thanks for the concern," Marcus replied. "But I volunteered for a reason. If humans are going to be part of the galactic community, we need to show what we can contribute. And if you die in the attempt, ask General Crexmore. Then at least we'll know the limits," Marcus said practically. "Besides, someone needs to get that research data. It might help save lives." Observer Hathrin materialized near the shuttle. "Captain, may I ask why you seem so calm about this mission?" "Our psychological experts predict that any rational being would be experiencing significant stress." Marcus paused at the shuttle door. "I guess because being scared doesn't help. Fear makes you make mistakes, and you can't afford mistakes in dangerous places. Better to stay calm and focused." "How do you stay calm when facing possible death?" Dr. Fendara asked from her position in the medical monitoring station. "Practice," Marcus said simply. "You learn that being afraid of death means you can't concentrate on staying alive." He climbed into the shuttle and began the pre-flight checklist. Outside, alien technicians made final adjustments to the monitoring equipment. The shuttle itself was expected to survive maybe an hour on Xerion 4's surface before the environment destroyed it completely. "Shuttle systems check complete," Marcus reported. "Ready for departure." "Launch when ready, Captain," Vextal said. "May your ancestors watch over you." "Thanks. See you all soon." The shuttle launched smoothly, carrying Marcus away from the station toward the angry red ball of Xerion 4. The planet dominated the view screen, its surface covered in roiling storms of toxic gas and radioactive lightning. On the observation deck, dozens of aliens watched in silence as the shuttle approached the planet. Many had placed bets on how long the human would survive. The optimistic estimates gave him 10 minutes after landing. The pessimistic ones measured his survival time in seconds. "Entering planetary atmosphere," Marcus reported. His voice remained steady despite the turbulence that was shaking the shuttle like a toy. "Getting a bit bumpy down here." The external cameras showed the shuttle being battered by winds that could tear apart buildings. Lightning made of pure radiation struck the hull repeatedly. Acid rain pelted the viewports, leaving scars on the reinforced materials. "Hull integrity holding," Marcus continued. "These shuttles are pretty tough." "The shuttle was designed to survive exactly one landing," Dr. Kethara said. "It has no backup systems." "Good thing I only need one landing, then," Marcus replied. Through the external cameras, they watched the shuttle break through the storm clouds toward Xerion 4's surface. The landscape below looked like a scene from Nightmare. Rivers of molten acid, geysers of toxic gas, and scattered ruins of the abandoned research facility. "Target acquired," Marcus said. "I can see the research station. Looks like it took some damage, but the main structure is still standing." "Structural integrity of the station is unknown," warned Dr. Fendara. "It has been exposed to the environment for 50 years. "Only one way to find out," Marcus said. The shuttle touched down with a hard impact that would have broken most pilots' backs. Marcus grunted but continued with his post-landing checklist. "Touchdown successful. Atmospheric readings confirm everything you told me. This place is seriously nasty. Beginning exit procedures. Captain, wait, Dr. Kethera called out. Your suit cannot possibly protect you from those conditions. It doesn't have to protect me completely, Marcus explained, checking his equipment one more time. It just has to slow down the damage long enough for me to do the job. Slow down the damage? Several aliens asked at once. Sure, I can handle some exposure as long as it's not too much too fast. The suit will help with that. On the observation deck, alien medical experts stared at each other in confusion. The concept of deliberately accepting damage in order to complete a mission was foreign to every species in the galaxy except one. Exiting shuttle now, Marcus announced. The external cameras showed him stepping out onto Xerion 4's surface. Immediately, warning alarms began sounding in the monitoring station. Suit breach detected, the computer announced. Environmental seals compromised. Toxic exposure imminent. Yeah, I can feel that, Marcus said calmly. Burns a bit. Proceeding to the research station. They watched in amazement as he walked steadily across the dangerous terrain. Acid rain that dissolved the shuttle's hull on contact merely darkened his suit material. Radioactive lightning struck him twice, causing his suit's electronics to spark and smoke, but he kept walking. Captain, your suit's life support has failed, Dr. Kethara said urgently. You're breathing the atmosphere directly. Tastes terrible, Marcus replied, his voice slightly hoarse. Like someone mixed bleach with sulfur and set it on fire. But I'm managing. Managing? She repeated faintly. Sure, it's not pleasant, but I can handle it for a while. How long do you think I'll need? Dr. Kethara looked at her instruments, which were screaming warnings about toxic exposure levels that should have killed him instantly. Unknown. We expected you to be dead by now. Well, I'm not, so let's see what we can accomplish. Marcus reached the research station and began examining the entrance. The door had been warped by 50 years of chemical exposure, but he managed to force it open with his bare hands. Entering the station now. Emergency lighting is still functional. Looks like the power core is still running. That's impressive. Inside the station, conditions were even worse than outside. Toxic gases had accumulated in the enclosed spaces, creating a concentrated poison that would have been instantly fatal to any known species. Air quality in here is pretty rough, Marcus reported. Burns your throat something fierce. But I can see the data storage units. They look intact. He moved through the station methodically, following a path that would have taken a robotic probe hours to navigate safely. When he reached the central lab, he found what he was looking for. Jackpot. I've got the research data, and it looks like there's more here than you expected. They were working on some kind of universal medical treatment. Hang on, let me download everything. While Marcus worked, the aliens monitoring him noticed something disturbing. His suit was falling apart. The helmet visor had cracked, exposing him fully to the toxic atmosphere. The life support pack was sparking and smoking. The protective layers were dissolving like paper in acid, but Marcus kept working. Download complete, he announced after 20 minutes. I've also found some equipment that might be valuable. Going to grab what I can carry. Captain, Dr. Kethera said desperately, your suit is completely compromised. You've been exposed to lethal levels of radiation and toxins for over 30 minutes. You need to evacuate immediately. Almost done, Marcus replied. Found something interesting. Looks like they were working on an antidote for the Zephyrian plague. That could save millions of lives, right? Dr. Fendar's 6 eyes widened. The Zephyrian plague has killed billions across the galaxy. We've been searching for a cure for centuries. Well, looks like these folks figured it out. Just need to... There we go. Marcus finished packing the research materials into a protective case, heading back to the shuttle now. The return journey was even more harrowing to watch. Marcus's protective suit had been reduced to tatters. His exposed skin was red and blistered from acid burns. He was coughing frequently and his voice was rough from breathing the toxic air. But he kept walking. Shuttle's looking a bit worse for wear, he observed as he approached the landing site. The acid rain had eaten through most of the hull, and the engines were smoking. Hope it's still got one more flight in it. Uncertain, Dr. Kethara said. The damage may be too extensive. Only one way to find out, Marcus said, climbing into what remained of the shuttle. Starting launch sequence. The takeoff was violent and erratic. Half the engines had failed, and the hull was coming apart from acid damage. But somehow Marcus managed to get the dying shuttle off the ground and into space. "Clear of the atmosphere," he reported. "Coming home with the goods." On the observation deck, the assembled aliens watched in stunned silence as the barely functioning shuttle limped back toward the station. They had witnessed something that challenged everything they thought they knew about the limits of biological life. "Docking sequence initiated," Marcus said as he approached Nexus 7. "Fair warning, I probably look pretty rough right now. The environment down there was a bit harder on me than I expected." When the shuttle finally docked and Marcus emerged, the aliens got their first close look at what Xerion 4 had done to him. His skin was burned and blistered. His hair was singed. His eyes were red from chemical exposure. He was coughing continuously and his voice was barely a whisper. But he was alive, conscious, and carrying the research data. "Mission accomplished," he croaked, handing over the protective case. "Found everything you were looking for and then some. That planet's got quite a bite to it." Dr. Kethara stared at him in medical disbelief. According to every scanner in the medical bay, he should have been dead 45 minutes ago. Instead, he was standing there asking if anyone had something for his cough. "Captain," she said slowly, "you have just survived exposure to conditions that would have killed every known species in the galaxy. How do you feel?" Marcus thought about it, coughing a few times. "Like I need a shower, some throat lozenges, and maybe a nice hot meal. Oh, and some burn cream would be good. Other than that, not too bad." "Not too bad," she repeated. "Well, it wasn't pleasant," he admitted. "But I've had worse." The aliens looked at each other with a mixture of awe and terror. If this was what humans considered not too bad, what would they consider truly dangerous? They were about to find out that the answer was nothing. To humans, there was no such thing as truly dangerous, only different degrees of interesting challenges. The galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after Captain Marcus Chen's impossible mission to Xerion 4, the galaxy was a very different place. The research data he had recovered had already led to breakthroughs in treating 3 major diseases. The plague antidote alone had saved over 2 million lives across dozens of worlds. But the real change wasn't in medicine, it was in how every species viewed the universe itself. Marcus stood in the new human liaison office aboard Trade Station Nexus 7, looking out at the steady stream of ships arriving daily. Each one brought requests for human assistance with missions that other species had declared impossible. His desk was covered with proposals for rescue operations, exploration missions, and recovery efforts. "Busy day?" asked Dr. Kethara as she entered the office. Over the past months, she had become something like the galaxy's leading expert on human biology, though she still didn't fully understand how they worked. "Always busy," Marcus replied, sorting through the latest batch of requests. "The Crystalline Collective wants us to explore a black hole's event horizon. The Trade Federation needs someone to retrieve cargo from a ship that crashed in a star's corona. And the Peaceful Union is asking if we can negotiate with some kind of energy beings that communicate through lethal radiation." "And you're going to say yes to all of them," she observed. "Probably," Marcus admitted. "That's what we're here for." Dr. Kethara floated closer to his desk. "Marcus, may I ask you something personal?" "Sure. Why do humans do this? You could have demanded anything after proving your capabilities. Territory, resources, political power. Instead, you asked to become the galaxy's emergency response team." Marcus leaned back in his chair, thinking about the question. "I guess because that's what feels right. We've always been the type to help when things go wrong. It's just who we are. But surely you understand the risks. Every mission could be fatal." "Could be," Marcus agreed. "But it could also save lives or solve problems. The risk is worth it if we can help." A chime announced an incoming communication. The holographic image of Ambassador Zarthek appeared above Marcus's desk. "Captain Chen," the reptilian diplomat said, "I have urgent news from the Galactic Council." "Good news or bad news?" Marcus asked. "Both, I'm afraid. The good news is that humanity has been officially granted full citizenship in the Galactic Union. You have all the rights and privileges of any member species." "That's great," Marcus said. "What's the bad news?" "Several military factions have formed an alliance specifically to counter what they perceive as the human threat. They call themselves the Coalition for Galactic Defense." Dr. Kethara's tentacles twisted with worry. "How many species have joined this coalition?" 12 so far, Zarthek replied. "Led by General Krexmore of the Saurian Empire. They believe that humans represent an existential threat to all other life in the galaxy." Marcus sighed. I was afraid something like this might happen. What are they planning? Unknown. But intelligence suggests they are developing new weapons specifically designed to counter human resilience. They seem to believe that if they can find a way to kill humans, they can eliminate the threat. Do they realize that would make them the aggressors? Dr. Kethera asked. Military minds often struggle with such distinctions, Zartheg said. Captain, the Council would like to know, how does humanity plan to respond to this threat? Marcus was quiet for a moment, staring out at the stars beyond the station. Same way we've responded to every other threat, he said finally. We'll deal with it when it comes. That's it? Zartheg asked. You're not concerned? Of course I'm concerned, Marcus said. But worry won't help. If they want to fight, we'll defend ourselves. If they want to talk, we'll listen. If they want to test their new weapons, they're welcome to try. The casual way he said they're welcome to try made both aliens step back slightly. Marcus, Dr. Kethera said carefully. What if their weapons actually work? What if they find a way to kill humans? Marcus shrugged. Then they'll have solved their problem. But until then, we'll keep doing our job. Another chime announced a new communication. This time, it was Captain Sarah Rodriguez calling from the human colony ship, New Horizons. Marcus, we've got a situation out here, she said without preamble. The mining station at Kepler 186 has gone dark. Last transmission indicated some kind of catastrophic system failure. How catastrophic? Marcus asked. The kind where everyone dies unless someone gets there fast. Problem is, the station is inside a radiation field that would cook most rescue ships before they got close. Most rescue ships, Marcus said with a slight smile, but not all of them. I was hoping you'd say that. How soon can you get here? Marcus looked at his schedule. I can leave in an hour. Dr. Kethera, want to come along? You might find it educational. The Mindari scientist's tentacles curled with what Marcus had learned was her version of nervous laughter. Educational? Yes, watching you survive impossible odds has become quite educational. 2 hours later, Marcus was aboard a human rescue ship, heading toward Kepler 186. The ship was built to human specifications, which meant it could survive environments that would destroy most alien vessels. It also meant it looked primitive and crude compared to the sleek designs favored by other species. Approaching the radiation field now, reported Lieutenant Chen, no relation, the ship's pilot. Sensors are already showing dangerous levels. Define dangerous, Marcus said from the captain's chair. Lethal to most known life forms in about 30 seconds. Good thing we're not most known life forms, Marcus replied. Take us in. Dr. Kethera monitored the radiation levels from her specially shielded observation post. Marcus, these readings are off the charts. This is worse than anything you've encountered before. First time for everything, Marcus said cheerfully. As they entered the radiation field, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Warning lights flashed red as the radiation levels climbed beyond the limits of the ship's protective systems. Hull temperature rising, Lieutenant Chen reported. Radiation exposure at critical levels. How's everyone feeling? Marcus asked the crew. Like we're being slowly cooked, replied Engineer Martinez from the engine room. But still functional. That's the spirit, Marcus said. Dr. Kethera, how are you holding up? The alien scientist checked her protective equipment. My shielding is adequate for now, but I don't understand how you're all still conscious. These radiation levels should have killed you minutes ago. We're tough, Marcus said simply. Mining station coming into view now. Through the view screen, they could see the massive station floating dead in space. It was clearly damaged, with several sections showing signs of explosion or fire. No lights were visible, and it wasn't responding to radio calls. Looks bad, Lieutenant Chen observed. We've seen worse, Marcus replied. Take us in for docking. Prep the emergency gear. The docking procedure was complicated by the radiation interfering with their systems, but eventually they managed to connect to the station's emergency airlock. Marcus suited up in heavy protective gear and prepared to board the station. Marcus, Dr. Kethera said, the radiation inside that station will be even worse than out here. Your protective suit cannot possibly handle those levels. It doesn't have to handle them, Marcus explained, checking his equipment. It just has to slow them down enough for me to find survivors and get them out. And if there are no survivors, then we make sure there's no one left to save before we leave, Marcus said matter-of-factly. He cycled through the airlock and entered the mining station. The interior was dark except for emergency lighting, and the air was thick with smoke and radiation. His dosimeter immediately began clicking rapidly, indicating dangerous exposure levels. "Station interior is pretty hot," he reported back to the ship. "Radiation levels are definitely not recommended for extended exposure. Beginning search for survivors." Marcus moved through the station methodically, checking each section for signs of life. The radiation was so intense that his protective suit began failing within minutes, but he continued searching. "Found something," he announced, reaching the station's emergency shelter. "There are 12 miners holed up in the radiation shelter. They're alive but trapped by debris. Can you get them out?" Dr. Kethara asked. "Working on it," Marcus replied, beginning to clear the twisted metal that blocked the shelter's exit. The work was dangerous. The debris was radioactive and sharp, and moving it required him to remove his protective gloves. "Marcus, your suit integrity is failing," Lieutenant Chen warned. "Radiation exposure is approaching lethal levels." "Almost done," Marcus said, his voice strained from the effort. "Just need to move this last piece." With a final heave, he cleared the exit. 12 terrified miners emerged from the shelter, coughing and shaking from their ordeal. "This way," Marcus said, leading them back toward the ship. "Stay close and move fast." The journey back to the rescue ship was a nightmare of radiation exposure and structural damage. 2 of the miners collapsed from radiation sickness, and Marcus had to carry them. His own protective suit was falling apart, exposing him directly to the lethal environment, but he got them all out. "All survivors aboard," he reported as the last miner was helped into the ship's medical bay. "Let's get out of here." As the rescue ship pulled away from the station, Dr. Kethara examined Marcus in the medical bay. His radiation exposure was off the charts, levels that should have been fatal several times over. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Like I've been microwaved," Marcus admitted, "but I'll live." "How are the miners?" "They'll recover," she said. "Thanks to you." "Thanks to all of us," Marcus corrected. "This was a team effort." Dr. Kethara stared at him in amazement. "Marcus, you just absorbed enough radiation to kill 100 members of my species. You should be dead." "But I'm not," Marcus pointed out. "And 12 people are alive who wouldn't be otherwise. That's what matters." News of the Kepler 186 rescue spread quickly through the galaxy. It was the 15th impossible mission humans had completed in the past 6 months. Each success made other species more willing to trust humanity, while making the Coalition for Galactic Defense more determined to stop them. The confrontation came 3 weeks later. A coalition fleet of 30 warships appeared at the edge of human space, demanding that all human expansion cease immediately. They claimed that humanity posed an unacceptable threat to galactic civilization and must be contained. The human response was typically straightforward. Captain Chen and a small diplomatic vessel flew out to meet them. "Coalition fleet, this is Captain Marcus Chen of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. You are entering human space without permission. Please state your intentions." General Crexmore's massive form appeared on the communication screen. "Human, you will cease all expansion beyond your current territory. You will stop accepting missions from other species. You will submit to Coalition oversight of your activities." "That's not going to happen," Marcus replied calmly. "Then you will be destroyed," Crexmore snarled. "We have developed weapons specifically designed to kill your kind. Have you tested them?" Marcus asked with genuine curiosity. "We have run extensive simulations. They will work." "Simulations," Marcus repeated. "Well, I guess there's only one way to find out for sure." The Coalition weapons were indeed impressive. They fired streams of exotic particles designed to disrupt human cellular structure at the molecular level. They launched missiles carrying warheads that created localized fields of entropy, designed to age human tissue to dust in seconds. They deployed energy beams that should have unraveled human DNA completely. All of these weapons struck Marcus's ship directly. When the energy dissipated and the sensors cleared, Marcus's ship was still there. Damaged, smoking, and with several hull breaches, but still functional. "Interesting." Marcus's voice came over the communication channel. "Those weapons really pack a punch. Did you build them yourselves?" General Crexmore stared at his instruments in disbelief. "Impossible. You should be dead. Completely destroyed." "Well, I'm not," Marcus said practically. "And now that you've tried to kill me, I think we need to have a serious conversation about your behavior." What happened next became known throughout the galaxy as the 5-Minute War. It wasn't really a war. It was a demonstration. Marcus's diplomatic ship, armed with nothing but standard human defensive systems, proceeded to disable all 30 coalition warships without firing a single lethal shot. He used ramming tactics that should have destroyed his own ship. He flew through weapons fire that should have vaporized him. He boarded enemy vessels that were filled with toxic gas designed to kill humans instantly. Each time he survived. Each time the coalition forces fell back in growing terror. "This is impossible," General Crexmore broadcast to his fleet. "Retreat! All ships retreat!" "General," Marcus said over the communication channel, "I think we should talk." The peace negotiations that followed were unlike anything in galactic history. Humanity didn't demand territory or reparations. They didn't insist on punishment for the coalition members. Instead, Marcus simply asked for understanding. "Look," he said to the assembled coalition leaders, "I get why you're scared of us. We're different, and different can be threatening, but we're not your enemies. We're just trying to help." "Help," General Crexmore repeated, his scales still dark with fear. "By being impossible to kill." "By being hard to kill," Marcus corrected. "There's a difference. If something can survive just about anything, it can go places and do things that others can't. That makes us useful for dangerous jobs. And if you decide to become conquerors instead of helpers?" asked Admiral Thorkvall. Marcus thought about it seriously. "Then you'll have to stop us. But until then, why not let us help? The galaxy's a dangerous place. Seems like having some people around who are hard to kill might be useful." In the end, that's exactly what happened. The Coalition for Galactic Defense disbanded, and its members joined the growing list of species requesting human assistance with their most dangerous problems. Humanity spread throughout the galaxy, not as conquerors but as helpers. They became the species you called when your colony ship crashed on a toxic world. They were the ones who volunteered for missions to repair space stations in the hearts of stars. They were the people who would walk into any danger to save lives or solve problems. The scanners had been right all along. Humans were impossible to kill, but more importantly, they were impossible to corrupt, impossible to discourage, and impossible to stop from helping others. Marcus Chen eventually retired from active duty, but not before training hundreds of other humans in the art of surviving the impossible. He settled on a quiet planet in the Outer Rim, where he wrote his memoirs and tended a garden. The book became a bestseller across dozens of species. Its title was simple: Surviving Tuesday, A Human's Guide to Not Dying. In the introduction, Marcus wrote, "The secret to being hard to kill isn't about being stronger or tougher than everyone else. It's about refusing to give up when things get difficult. It's about helping others even when helping is dangerous. It's about remembering that being alive means nothing if you're not really living. And sometimes," he concluded, "the best way to live is to do something worth dying for, then refuse to die while you're doing it." The galaxy had learned to live with humans. More importantly, it had learned to live better because of them. And Captain Marcus Chen, sitting in his garden on a peaceful world, smiled as he watched the sunset. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new dangers, new opportunities to help. He wouldn't have it any other way. Dr. Kethera often visited him in his retirement. She had written her own book about human biology, titled The Impossible Species, A Medical Study of Human Resilience. It had become required reading at medical schools across the galaxy. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked him one evening as they sat on his porch, watching the alien constellations. "All the pain, all the scars, all the times you nearly died?" Marcus looked down at his hands, weathered and scarred from decades of dangerous missions. "Regret helping people? Never. But the cost to yourself was worth it," Marcus said firmly. "Every scar tells a story about someone who lived because we were there. Every injury was payment for lives saved. I wouldn't trade a single one." A shooting star streaked across the sky, probably another human ship heading off to some impossible mission somewhere in the galaxy. "Your people never stop, do they?" Dr. Kethera observed. "Why would we?" Marcus asked. "There's always someone who needs help, always some problem that needs solving. That's what humans do. Even after all this time, I still don't fully understand how you do it." Marcus smiled, the expression causing several old scars on his face to crease. "The secret isn't complicated, Doc. We survive because we have to. We keep going because others are counting on us. And we refuse to give up because that's just who we are. And if someday you meet something that really can kill you, then we'll face it the same way we face everything else, Marcus said simply. Together and without backing down. In the distance, another ship launched from the spaceport carrying human volunteers to some distant crisis. The galaxy had learned that when the impossible needed doing, you called humans. Marcus Chen had been right about one thing. His people were indeed impossible to kill. But more than that, they were impossible to stop from caring. Impossible to discourage from helping, and impossible to prevent from making the universe a better place for everyone. The scars had set off warnings. The scanners had marked him impossible to kill. And they had been absolutely right. The galaxy was safer for it.